Hey guys, this is Zuyv, and this will be a healer guide. And basically, in this guide, I will not be explaining the extreme basics of the healer role. I'll only explain things that you should probably know if you've actually healed or played Barbarian Assault a fair bit. So after you get good at doing things like this, you'll actually be able to do things such as 3 calling, wave 7 and 8, and get like 95 to 100 seconds on wave 9, which are very good times. So basically, just so you know a bit more, the times on healer waves are judged by calls generally. The first call will be 30 seconds long, so you will take 30 seconds to be through the first call. Then that's a second call after that. Anything under 30 seconds is 1 calling, anything under 60 seconds is 2 calling, anything under 90 seconds is 3 calling, because you do it in a certain amount of calls. So that's pretty much how most people judge their healer times. They don't generally judge it by time. So the attackers and collectors, they should generally run west. That means going west of the cannon, west of the western cannon at the very start of the wave. If you want more on that, there will be some in the collector guide, which will be coming out next. Now, pretty much just explain that again. So yeah. Healer blocking, that was a pretty old tactic that people used. It's basically when the collector runs up and blocks the healers in some certain fashion to get the healers' job easier. Now, people stopped doing that for a few reasons. One, it was found to actually hurt the attacker, so if it's a solo attacker, you should definitely not do that. Two, it is a lot easier, in my opinion, to heal without a healer block. I don't know why, except for waves 3 through 5, in which case you should still be finishing extremely quickly, about as quickly as the defender. So healer blocking is just not worth it. So basically, in this guide, I will be explaining rough technique. This means that you should not use the exact techniques I say. Well, if you use the exact techniques I say, I don't even use them exactly. I judge based on the spawns and things like that. So you can use the exact techniques and get good times, but if you want really, really good times, you simply need to practice and know the spawns and work with the spawns for each wave. So now I'm going to say a bit about the terminology that will be used in this guide and is used by pro Barbarian Assaulters. Now, one of these is when healers stack. This means when 2 healers get on 1 square, so you can't tell which one is which. So basically, that means that you can't, well, sometimes when you poison the top one, it poisons the second one, and it's just extremely tedious to deal with stacked healers. So generally, you do not want your healers to get on the same square for just convenience purposes. So yeah. Another thing is when you lure healers. Now this is when you're like about to go to cannon, like you're finished with your role, and so you get a healer's attention, and then you run onto a cannon so it can't poison you, but it will still be on you trying to poison you. This is called luring healers. Now you do this so that the healer can have an easier job with it. It's pretty much a healer block late wave, which is where you should probably need a healer block. Now, a concept that I have found out by myself, and I haven't heard it I haven't seen it discussed or anything, but after a lot of practice, I've learned something called trailing. Now, it's extremely advanced, although it's pretty easy to learn how to do, and it doesn't save a ton of time, but it does save about 5 seconds on higher waves, which could mean a difference between a record and a not record. So, basically, it's when you want to, like, for example, there's a healer west that you know needs repoisoned. Then, on the way going west, you see a healer that needs poisoned, and it's going west. So, you will try to poison that healer in order for it to, well, in order for the healer to bring you closer to that healer, and so you can also get that healer poisoned. It's hard to explain, I can't really get footage, but I do have footage in all of these clips, of trailing. I have footage of me doing the actual trailing. I may point it out, I may not, I'm not exactly sure. Then, some less advanced tactics include, like, repoisoning, and that's poisoning a healer twice to ensure that it dies on, and this only needs to happen on waves 8 and 9. And healer spread, and that's a distance between all healers, and so if there's larger spread in a wave, that means there's worse times. Another terminology that you will be seeing is 1-2-1 or 1-2-3. This is pretty much typed like a 1, then a dash, then a 2, then a dash, then a 1 for 1-2-1, or 3 for a 1-2-3. Now, basically what this means is a 1-2-1 will be when you call, for example, let's say worms, okay? So, the healer call was worms, and then it turns into meat, and then it turns into worms. That would be a 1-2-1, because the first call was worms, and so you don't have as much worms as you do tofu in that example. Because you will have plenty of tofu, because you wouldn't have used any, but you wouldn't have plenty of worms. So you'll have to restock in that case. A 1-2-3 will be pretty much just using all 3 calls, like worms, meat, and then tofu, in the first 3 calls. So it will be like worms, meat, tofu, worms, just any combination of the 3 calls over the first 3 calls of the wave. Alright, so now I'm going to discuss using eggs on healers. Now, if you have a good collector, and I'll explain how to be a good collector in the collector guide, so if you're a good collector, you will need to know this about using eggs on healers, because healers are generally the creatures that you will shoot with eggs. So, you pretty much only use reds on healers, although sometimes you do use blues. You use a blue egg on a healer if there's a healer close to death that's in range of the cannon, and then one that needs cannoning far away, but the cannon can still reach it. So basically you use the blue so the cannon does not shoot the healer that's close to death, it instead shoots the healer that is in need of cannoning to have a faster wave. There's another thing. You should never use green eggs. The only exception to this is if you green spam. Green spamming is what it seems like. It's when you spam a ton of green eggs on a healer. This will be either done because the healer is almost dead and just needs a bit more, the healer needs repoisoning, or if you have three or more people at the cannon and using it, and the collector has many green eggs, that would be like 7+-ish. Enough for a reload. So that's pretty much when you green spam, and it's not very hard to collect and shoot the healer. You just need to use red eggs and blues sometimes, and very, very, very rarely will you use greens. Okay, so this will be the template for for basically what I'll be showing you. I have this nice pretty little background and this nice pen that I can use to draw things like a cloud around a template. But that's beside the point. Okay, so basically this template will be showing what I show at the beginning before I show you the wave. So basically I will show you the healers spawn first. Now this will be explained in, like, for example, a 2-0 for wave 1. That means that the first healer spawn was 2 and the second healer spawn is 0. I'll explain more on the spawns after this. And it's really hard to explain the spawns, but you'll probably get it eventually if you don't get it right away. So, other than that, I will show then the average time for a wave. This will be based on if the call was 1, 2, 3, which I explained earlier in the terminology. So, yeah, basically, it's not 1, 2, 1. Then I will show the first call food usage. That basically means that I will be showing what the first, like, the poisoning order that you will be doing in the first call. And then I'll show any extra information. This will be basically, extra information will be like, on wave 9, if you want the healer out, if you want, when you want to repoison it, etc, etc. So, yeah. Alright, so again, I have a really awesomely fancy healer spawn explanation thing. I am obviously very good with computers. Okay, so for example, wave 1 is a 2-0 spawn. This means that, I explain it here, there are 2 healers out of the cave and 0 healers in the spawn. In the cave waiting to spawn. It's hard to explain, but basically the second number is the number that you have to kill in the wave in order for all the healers to be out. And if you add the 2 numbers together, that's the total amount of healers in the wave. So again, the way to think about it is like 4 healers are out of the cave and 3 are in the cave waiting to spawn, because the second number is 3. Other than that, it's pretty hard to explain, so with experience you could probably learn what these spawns mean if you don't already know. I knew pretty much right away what the spawns meant, but I'm not sure if other people would know that. So, yeah. The point in, well, I will explain the spawns for each particular wave when I explain the wave strategy. So, yeah. Okay, so for wave 1, the spawn will be 2-0. You will generally do the wave in 1 call. It shouldn't take longer than 1 call. It's really pretty easy. Then you should do the poison in about 4 or 5. It should basically be an even poison because both are out. So you just poison both of them evenly until they die. So here's an example of a wave 1. Okay, so I've grouped together waves 2 and 1 in the clip, and they really go right back to back in terms of strategy. So wave 2 is a 3-0 spawn. So again, it's really not difficult at all because there's nothing inside the cave. So you just poison them all evenly. So it should be done barely past a 1 call wave. If you have a collector who will cannon your healers, which I have no clue why you would, unless the defender like hacks or something. But basically it should barely ever be a 1 call. I think it's possible to do a 1 call wave 2, but I never get it personally. I think I've gotten it once or something. But it will be a 2 call generally. So you should poison them in the order of 225. Now that's basically because you can't just poison them all evenly because there will be spread and then they all don't spawn at the same time. So 225 is definitely one of the better spawns. I mean, one of the better poison things. And then just poison them all evenly during the second call. If, yeah, it's possible. So, wave 2 again, not much to it at all. Okay, so I've grouped together waves 2 and 1 in the clip, and they really go right back to back in terms of strategy. So wave 2 is a 3-0 spawn. So again, it's really not difficult at all because there's nothing inside the cave. So you just poison them all evenly. So it should be done barely past a 1-call wave. If you have a collector who will cannon your healers, which I have no clue why you would, unless the defender like hacks or something. But basically it should barely ever be a 1-call. I think it's possible to do a 1-call wave 2, but I never get it personally. I think I've gotten it once or something. But it will be a 2-call generally. So you should poison them in the order of 225. Now that's basically because you can't just poison them all evenly because there will be spread and then they all don't spawn at the same time. So 225 is definitely one of the better spawns. I mean, one of the better poison things. And then just poison them all evenly during the second call. If, yeah, it's possible. So, wave 2 again, not much to it at all. So this is a clip of the wave 1 that I did. This is just a regular wave 1, obviously, and it's, I didn't do very well because I was sort of eating at the time, but it shows, like, going back and forth between the healers to poison them completely evenly and try to get them killed at the same time. So it was still 1-call. Obviously, because wave 1 is almost always 1-called. So yeah. Now here's wave 2. This is actually a really decent wave 2. It's almost a 1-call. So yeah. As you can see, I poison one healer, I poison the other one, and I go back to one that I poisoned first, and poison again. And then, yeah. So the 225 I did at separate times, like, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. For wave 3, it will be, wave 3 is going to be the first spam wave. Now, this is a series of 3 waves, waves 3, 4, and 5. And basically that means, for healer, the second spawn is 1, as you can see. So basically, it's when you try and kill the first healer as quickly as possible to get the second one out of the cave. Now, while I don't say any extra information, for wave 3, you can poison the first healer right away, poison the second healer, and then just spam the first one to death, and the second one will almost likely die right as you kill the third healer, the second spawn, which is the 1. Wave 3 will take about 2 calls, and you will want to use about 6 food on the first one, obviously 1 on the second one, and then the third healer spawn may or may not be during the first call. It really just depends on how quickly you do it. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't during the first call. So, oh. So you should probably prepare for it not being then. But, yeah. So just wave 3, again this is a spam wave, so I spammed the healer like that. And in this wave I actually do it a bit differently, because I accidentally misclick on the second healer and poison it twice. I continue to poison it and use it as my spam target, instead of continuously poisoning the first one. This is more efficient if you happen to misclick and poison the second healer twice. But other than that, you should generally poison the first healer and spam it rather than the second healer. So, yeah, just finishing up the wave and yeah. Okay, so for wave 4, it is extremely similar to wave 3. The only difference is the first number is a 3 instead of a 2, which means, yeah, if you understand spawns, you know what that means. So, again, this will be about 2 calls. It will take a little bit longer than wave 3, but not too much longer. A good milestone for this wave, if the defender is decent, then they will likely finish before the healer, just barely, if the healer and defender are decent and the defender gets good spawns. So this is a turning point wave for defender finishing before healer. It's a 5-1-1 instead of a 6-1, so you poison the first healer 5 times, second one 1 time, third one 1 time. Although you may have to poison the third one more time after you did it that 1 time during the second call, because it may die it may die after the post spawn, which is a 1. So yeah. Other than that, it's the same as wave 3. And I keep doing that with my mouse. This is just wave 4. It's the same strategy as you'll do on wave 3, pretty much. It just has 1 extra spawn to it, right there. And I'm not exactly sure in this clip, but I think that I don't poison that third healer until pretty late, and I get 1 healer out really quickly. Like, I get the second spawn out really quickly right there. And I think this is a really well executed wave 4. So if you can reproduce it like this, you should probably do it if you have the right spread. Because that was a really nice wave 4. So for wave 5, it's another spam wave. But, oh my god. But it's a bit different of a spam wave. For this wave, it's a 4-1 spawn, which again is a 1 spawn. But for this wave, the healer's health is too high for 1 food to kill it from before one that's being spammed. So as I wrote here, and am underlining to the best of my ability, you will want to poison each healer once during the second call, after you do the 4-1-1-1 during the first call, before spamming the 5th healer spawn. So after you re-poison each healer once, you will then want to spam the healer that just spawned. This is again because the healer will have too high health. The healers will have too high health to live and to die at the same time as the spammed healer. So this wave again will be 2 calls, but it sometimes will be 3. It will be just barely 3. It's generally around 60 seconds, about 58 to 62 seconds normally, I'd say. So, yeah. And this is wave 5, as you can see. So, as I said earlier, this wave is different from the other spam waves because it actually is, well, it's not a huge amount of difference, but you would need to repoison some healers for them to be killed at certain times. So yeah, it's a bit different. So yeah, you can just watch it and see the differences between it and other spam waves. See, I repoison healers instead of just letting them be because, or else they just wouldn't die on time. It would be a slow wave if I didn't do that. So after I get them all at suitable health, I start spamming the last healer that comes out, and I just spam that one to death. And I think I don't know if I misclicked there, but yeah. See, pretty decent time, about 60 some seconds, so yeah. Okay, so wave 6 is pretty much the transition between spam waves and high waves. It's the first wave with a second post-spawn, but it's generally in the lower 3 call region in terms of time. Now, you will pretty much want to do 3-2-1-1 for the healer order. Sometimes you can remove this 1, but other than that, you may want to 3-2-1-1, or you can save some food. It's not extremely worth it to save food in wave 6, I found. The clip that I show, or am going to show, is going to save some food and not going to poison the last healer until the second call. But it's, I found that doing 3-2-1-1 and then not restocking or anything, and just having no, except sometimes you may want to have one correct food left over in case of a 1-2-1, but other than that, it generally, in my opinion, is worth it to just spam it at the beginning, because the beginning is a vital part of this wave, and if you have a good collector, you can 2-call this wave anyway. So it is generally a tedious wave in my opinion. People say that wave 7 is the most tedious wave. I really find this one the most tedious wave. I don't know why. I think it's because the collector will not load as much as they would on 7. It just wouldn't seem like they're doing as much as 7 does for collectors, but yeah. Do not poison the last 2 healers that spawn during the first call more than 1 time. Ever. These healers, if you poison them quickly enough, they will die. They will die quickly, trust me. You do not have to repoison them. So they can just completely live. It's fine. Don't repoison them. Now, this wave, I don't get this. But this strategy that I use here, this is the strategy that I have always used, and I recently changed it, and that's why I show in the actual presentation, like if you saw it before this. But right here, I'm ignoring the 4th healer. Now, I'm going to see in this clip, because I haven't watched it in a while, but I'm going to see if it dies in time. If it does, you may or may not be able to, but I think that you probably shouldn't, because it's a possibility that you can 2-call this wave if you do it correctly. And as you can see right there, I had the healers die at the same time, which wasted multiple seconds, which is a huge amount if you're going for a record or something. So you do not want them to die at the same time, because it saves a lot of time to have them die at different times. So yeah, right here, I'm just finishing up the wave. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the healers die on time, even though I poised it during the second call. But yeah, wave 7 is the first of the higher waves, and it's generally the most hated among people who are good at Barbarian Assault. This is partly because of its 3-second spawn. No other waves have a second spawn of 3, except wave 7 and 10, because 10's the same as wave 7. This will take 3 calls, or 3 or 4 calls. It will take 3 calls if it's a 1, 2, 3 and the collector is good. It can take like 80 seconds easily. If the collector's good and it's a 1, 2, 3 call, you can easily 3 call it. But if you get 1, 2, 1, the collector's bad, whatever, it's generally a 4 called wave, even if people are like, oh my god, I can consistently 3 call wave 7. That's likely not completely accurate information unless they always Barbarian Assault with good collectors. From wave 7 onward, it generally depends highly among the collector to determine the wave speed. It's just that way. Collector's a huge part of the healer role. But for this wave, you do not poison the 4th healer spawn. Do not poison the 4th healer spawn. Do not until the 2nd call. This is because the healer will still die with plenty of time left for you to have it poisoned during the 2nd call and save a 1st call food to poison one of these or something. So it's really worth it to save the 4th healer spawn to poison it at the 2nd call rather than the 1st. So obviously it's a 3-2-1 poison order I generally use, and that will make the 1st healer not need repoisoning at all. You can just let that healer die, but you will want to stick around the 1 healer, the healer that you only poisoned 1 time. You will want to stick around that healer and poison it quite a bit during the 2nd call so that it dies and you can have the spawns. Now, this is the first wave that the healer will finish far behind everyone else. It will generally be like a call behind everyone else. So a whole 30 seconds, which is a huge time jump from wave 6. And trust me, you need the cannon or you will not get very good times on wave 7+. The collector has to be good, and that is what sets apart good collectors from bad collectors and things like that. There are some, like, if you get lucky, if you do really well at wave 7, you can get about 80 seconds or so without the cannon, but it's best if you just have a good collector. You will consistently 3-call it. It will be really amazing. But other than that, just a quick tip that I would like to give you now that it's in the higher waves region. You will want to, you will want the healers to spawn at their respective times. So for example, you don't want all 3 healers to die at the same time, because that would be like a 10-second gap that you are just seeing there. You want the healers to die, like the first healer die, and then you poison that one. Then right after, the 2nd healer will die, so that it will spawn without delay, and it'll just make it a lot easier. It speeds it up like that if you don't kill them all at the same time, but yeah. So this is obviously the first of the higher waves. This is wave 7, and wave 7 is, I didn't actually get a very good clip here. This clip, it's decent, I guess, but it's not an extremely good time. I could definitely get a better time, but as you can see, I ignore that 4th healer until the 2nd call. That really saves time, because if you poison it during the 1st call, that's just sort of a waste of a 1st call food. But right here, I get really lucky here, but the spread is a bit too weird, so I have to end up waiting for the spawn a bit longer, the 3rd spawn, than I would like to. But other than that, it would have been a pretty decent wave if I didn't have to do that. But, so yeah. As you can see right there, I had to re-poison that healer. That really wasted a lot of time to have that healer like that. And that was completely due to the spread that I messed up that badly. So, it's still a decent wave, I guess. But it could have been a lot better if I didn't miss that healer. So don't miss healers like that. Life lesson. Alright, so wave 8 is going to be a 5-2 spawn. And it will take about the same amount of time as wave 7, generally. What I recommend you do is about a 3-3-1 poison spread. Now, this is in order to, poison the first 2 healers a significant amount. And then you want the 3rd healer poisoned, just so you can save 1 more second call food for wherever you may be wanting to use it for. But you don't want it re-poisoned. Now, this is obviously the first wave that the healers need re-poisoning. Although you can re-poison the healers right after you poison it, and it will die. If you don't re-poison it right after, then it won't die. So, yeah. Whenever you poison an unpoisoned healer, you want to poison it twice in a row. And this is obviously with the exception of the 3rd healer spawn, because you will only poison it once during the first call. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about this, why you poison the 3rd healer spawn only once, and not twice, and why you poison it during the first call. This will save 1 second call food, and it will save you from having to go a lot for the spread for that 3rd healer, and so it may save you spread from that healer. If you poison the 4th healer, that'll be just a bit too much. So it's generally worth it, in my opinion, to only poison it once to avoid having to care too much about the spread. It's just a bit hassle-free, in my opinion. Then obviously after you poison and re-poison all the healers, you'll want to spam the first 2 healers, the 3-3 that you poisoned. You'll want to spam one of those until it dies, then go back to the spawn and yeah, do your regular stuff. So, this wave is obviously a lot like wave 7 in my opinion. I find this wave, it is a lot like wave 7. It's just the second spawn isn't high. Like, it's a lot like wave 7 in terms of time especially, and how spread affects it. Because as you can see, the healer just went, the first healer just went west there. I need to go and get it. That's why spread just completely dominates wave times. Because if you get bad spread like this, actually the healers ended up going to 1 central point. But if you get bad spread like that, you will not 3-call it. It will just be a bad time. So, yeah. As you can see right there, the healer was already low enough HP that I could run back and not have to wait long. So I just went back right there. So yeah. Other than that, re-poisoning healers that come out, in a 1-2-1 and you don't re-poison the healer, you'll want to run back and re-poison it. Always watch what you poison and don't poison. Watch what you re-poison, things like that. Because if you don't re-poison a healer, it could ruin your entire wave, so. So, wave 9 is a unique wave. It's a 6-2 spawn, so that's a lot of healers at first. and it will generally be about 4 calls. You will get 3 sometimes. Wave 9, there's a huge amount of different strategies that you can use for this wave. This is definitely the most diverse wave there is of all the healer waves. Although you can get a 3 call even without eggs, it's just you need good spread and things like that. So it's generally 4 calls for wave 9. The healers, when you want to poison the healers, it's about a 2-2-1 for a first call. Now this is not exactly poison the first one 2, second one 2, and third one 1. You want to poison the first one, then the second one, then the third one, then when you see the 46 on the first healer, you will want to re-poison it with the second one then. And then you want to re-poison the second healer, and then you want to wait until the second call. And then you poison the healers that come out, re-poison the first healer, then spam these two. It's the re-poisoning in this wave you need to keep track of, or you won't get good times. You need to keep track of what healers you have re-poisoned, what their healths are. You just need to keep track of all that, or you won't get good times for this wave. It's extremely hard to do this wave, and that's why it's my favorite wave. I don't know why, I just really love this wave. Even so, yeah, that's pretty much all that I want to say. Although, there are a lot of tactics. I haven't tested a ton of them. I've only tested my own. But other than that, I don't know everything about this wave. It may be better to restock during the second call, because you use your second call food really quickly. So you may, if you use it quickly enough, you should definitely restock during the second call. But you should generally, I don't know. I haven't really tested it a lot, but I've gotten really good times. I've gotten like just past 3 calls with this. Although apparently someone has gotten a 3 call with restocking at the second call. I'm not exactly sure what's best. This wave is extremely diverse for its strategies, so yeah. Okay, so this is going to be a wave 9, and this is actually a really decent wave 9 that I did. This is the one wave that I actually strictly follow, the 2-2-1 that I wrote in the previous slide thing, wherever you may want to call it. But I strictly follow the 2-2-1 for this wave, because that is the backbone for this wave. This starting and re-poisoning the first 2 healers before anything else, and just getting those done with. And then obviously you re-poison that, and it's wave 9 completely eats through your second call food. It just eats through it. So I have been thinking that I may want to switch my tactic to actually restocking during the second call and using my food a lot quicker, because there are ways that you can use your food quicker and still re-poison the healers. So I've been thinking that I may want to do that, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't think that I will. But until then, this strategy has worked very well for me, and I've gotten really amazing times with this. I've gotten very good times. Like, this wave was actually a pretty decent time. I was pretty darn happy with this time. I did get a better time right after it, and I forgot to record. I got pretty mad at that. But it's still a really good time. I could have had them all dead by now, but I just didn't get the spread 100% correct, but still a decent wave. Now, instead of actually doing what I've done the past many waves for wave 10, it's pretty much the exact same thing as wave 7. It has the same spawn, but I'm going to talk a little bit about its characteristics, including like its spread. So its spread is generally a ton larger than Wave 7. Now it's just its nature of having the runner and healer spawn switched. That's one of the main reasons. There are lots of reasons about it, like no Eastern Cannon, things like that. So if there's only one attacker for Wave 10, have them stick to killing the Rangers. Not move to fighters. Don't get past the Rangers. Because if they do go past the Rangers, that will lure the healers west, because their spawn is so close to the Ranger and fighter spawn. So you can't go that far west. Other than that, there is a way to heal lure, so the spread is a lot less if you're a collector, but it's, I'll explain that in the collector guide, which will be next. And it's pretty much the same exact thing as Wave 7, except it takes a bit longer because of the spread. Now, if there are two attackers, like one attacking the fighters and one attacking the rangers, the healer will go towards the person attacking the fighters, because that's pretty much because the spawn is so close to them, they get lured. So you'll want to go straight up the middle, not towards the defender, for Wave 10. So for a 1-to-1, how you deal with those is pretty much you want to restock after you finish using your food. After you have, so basically, whenever you have no food of that call, of the current call, and so you have no food of the current call, obviously, and you have about 10 seconds left in the wave at least. If those circumstances fit, then you want to restock. And whenever you restock, you want to restock for all food, which you could do by left-clicking the dispenser. Don't just restock on what you need, because you won't need it after that, most likely. You just restock because you can restock. So yeah, you generally will only restock if you get a 1-to-1 or Wave 9 or something like that, or if you just use your food really quickly somehow. But yeah. So that's pretty much it for this guide. I'm going to say you need to know the spawns of the healers and work with them. You can't just use my strategies and be a great healer just because I say this. You have to work with the spawns, you have to have practice when you're healing. You can't just take someone else's strategies because you won't get why they do it and you'll do it wrong. I've tried to explain it as best that I could, but I don't think that I explained it perfectly, and you can't exactly trace what I do. Watching the clips obviously helps a bit, but you can't exactly redo what I do. So try to practice and use the spawns and use your knowledge about the spawns that I've given you to make your own strategy, because if you know what you're doing, that'll make it a lot easier, and that'll make you a better healer than what just following this guide strictly would make you. But other than that, that is the final part. This is the final part to the guide. I hope you learned something, because this took a while to make. Tell me what I can improve if you happen to watch this, and yeah, so because I don't know exactly how else I can improve this. I don't know where I'm going to add annotations and things. I may add annotations, I may not, I don't know. If I have, then you already know that I have, but yeah. It's a very long guide though, I know that, and yeah. So, if you are interested in looking at the other parts to my Barbarian Assault guide, look at my channel. I'll try to get like a playlist or something about them. But other than that, thank you for watching this guide. It took a lot of work, so I would really like it if this actually helped someone. It actually did stuff, because this took a huge amount of work compared to most things I do. So, yeah. Again, hope you enjoyed, and good luck. Speed healing. That's the first time that I mentioned that as speed healing, not just regular healing.